Okay, folks, here we are with a weekly property update. This is the Fife property market from the 27th of June to the 3rd of July, which is yesterday. So we're going to look through some numbers. We're going to base it on facts. We're going to base it on figures, and that will then tell us exactly where we stand in terms of the Fife property market, and that will allow us to predict where we're going to go, and then also it'll allow us to make decisions based on facts rather than actually just what I call pure speculation. Some interesting facts have come through in this, and I'll discuss them with you in a minute. So let's have a look at some of the statistics in terms of where we are just now. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share the numbers, and then I'm going to share as well the month to date, and I'm going to share the 6 months to date. So you're going to see the Fife property market about what's been sold over the last 6 months and what's been instructed over the last 6 months. Then I'm going to discuss some of the key properties coming to the market. And one of the most important things we discussed yesterday was in our show was, is the Fife property market heading for a price crash? This is quite interesting statistics and actually to support the yeses and the nos. But all the information's in this post as well. So you can click on it, you can watch the show, listen to the podcast, or read the article itself. It takes about 3 or 4 minutes to read anyway. But the show itself went in detail and discussion in depth with some of the most experienced estate agents in Fife. So here's the numbers for last week past. You can see there, you've got the Cooper market. So in the Cooper market, 7 properties actually have come to market last week. 11 properties have sold. So then it's outperforming week after week. East Nuke, only 2 properties came on, but look, 6 properties have actually sold. Now, this comes to a conclusion that you've got to sell what you bring on. So if you're not bringing on enough, then how are you going to sell them? So that's why prices tend to rise as a result of supply and demand, if people don't understand that. More than happy to take questions as well about the Fife property market and what's going on and what your thoughts are as well. I'd be interested to hear your comments on how you feel the market's going individually. So St Andrews, 5 properties were listed, 7 properties were sold. Leavenmouth, 7 properties listed, 9 properties sold. Dunfermline, 31 listed, 40 sold. Glenorthus, 17 listed, 15 sold. Kirkcaldy, 47 listed, 43 sold. So overall, 116 properties came to the market last week over all the estate agents in Fife, and 131 were sold and went under offer in that same week. So again, demand is outstripping supply. So let's look at it on a monthly basis now. This is the month of June. So this is the same information over the regions that I've talked about week after week for the month of June. We've collated it all together to give it a bigger picture. Because week after week, when you look at it in basic isolated boxes every single week, it kind of gives you an idea about what's going on. But this actually on a monthly basis gives you an overall idea, and especially when we go to the 6 months coming next. So on a monthly basis, Cooper, 47 instructed, 53 sold. East Nuke, 18 instructed, 15 sold. And you can see there at 113%, 139% of what's coming on has been sold. 32 came on and 34 sold in St Andrews. That's actually quite good for St Andrews, because we'll go into the next 6 month one and you'll see where St Andrews sits. But 106% of what came on actually sold. Leavenmouth, 43 versus 43. So whatever's coming on is getting sold in the month. Dunfermline, 161 versus 184. 114% demand. 62 and 61 in Glenorthus. 161 and 152 in Kirkcaldy. Kirkcaldy and Glenorthus are only the ones that have kind of not performed that well in the month, but equally every other month have actually performed really well. So overall, 500 properties came to the market, 524 came to market, and 552 were actually sold. So again, demand is outstripping supply. And you know what happens there? Prices go up as a result of more demand. Supply and demand economics. Okay, so let's look at a 6 monthly basis now. This is from January to June, there the now, just ended. So in the Cooper area, we have 253 properties instructed, 278 sold, 110% demand. So East Nuke, 89 instructed, 109 sold. St Andrews, 220, 171. Now, you see where I said that about St Andrews. St Andrews market isn't performing that well, but then that's probably not surprising considering St Andrews is a real high price point in the first place. So when you think about it, how many people are out there actually chasing properties at that price point? So as you begin to go up from the lower price brackets, you begin to shorten your market as a result. And it's like a triangle. Therefore, the price and the audience gets smaller and smaller and smaller as you begin to go up and the price goes up. So that's why the St Andrews market tends to be like that. But it is really buoyant. I mean, we have sold out every single property in St Andrews. So every single property we've had on, the last one went 2 days ago, which was Alan Robertson Drive, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But that went as well, and that's a sold out. So every single year we've sold out in 2018, 2019, 2020, and now 2021. Every single year we're selling out at St Andrews. So if 77% of the properties are selling, coming to market, and we're selling 100% of ours, somebody's not performing that very well. And some of the estate agents there aren't performing as good as they should be, or as good as we should be. Okay, so Levenmouth, 273 came to market, 302 sold. Dunfermline, over 1,000 properties came to market, 972 sold. Glenrothes, 331 against 330, which is basically what's coming on in Glenrothes is getting sold straight away. Kirkcaldy, 974 versus 865, so 89%. So Kirkcaldy is obviously, I would expect in the Kirkcaldy area, the prices achieved over Home Report won't be as much proportionately as places like the East Neuk, Cooper area, and possibly the Levenmouth area. They'll be going for a lot more. Now, the price points might be different, so the average price in Kirkcaldy might be a lot more than the average price in Leven, but on real terms, in terms of percentage increases, Leven is probably outperforming in terms of a better percentage increase over the value of the property and the Home Report value than actually Kirkcaldy itself. That's what it tells us. So 3,184 properties came to market in 6 months and 3,027 sold. And that's really as a result of the lower value is really as a result of these two, the Kirkcaldy area, the Dunfermline area, and the St Andrews area, not performing as well as all the other areas. So this tells you straight away, if you're an investor, these are the areas clearly that you should possibly invest in. Because and I think that's probably lack of supply more than anything. Now Cooper's obviously got a big housing plan in the process going on the outskirts of Cooper as you go out towards the Daresy Road. So that's got a big housing plan on the cards now. East Neuk hasn't got any housing plans really. Lochie Homes is sold out completely. So that's needing something done in that area. St Andrews, another big housing plan on the horizon. Levenmouth's a lot of housing and building going on with camping homes in the area. Dunfermline as well, a lot of housing building as well. Glenrothes, there's building that's on the cards. There's developments getting done here, there, and everywhere in Glenrothes. So that's a good point to keep that under control. And Kirkcaldy, there's a huge amount of housing going on. There's 1,000 houses getting built and across from the Randolph Industrial Estate in the new development out there by Persimmon and by Barrett themselves. So that gives you a rough indication about where things are going in terms of supply. Okay. So let's talk about some of the numbers as well in terms of what's been sold so far. So this is what's been sold from us. Okay. Now, why do we talk about this? Well, it's not to crow. It's not to tell anybody. It's if you've got a property like this that you're looking to sell, we have actually got a lot more people have actually missed out on these properties as a result this week. It's passed. And therefore, if you've got a property like this, please feel free to contact us. Or maybe it will give you a good indication about now's the time to sell for that type and style of property. So here's the first one here. This was Miller Terrace in St Monans. This was a 5-bedroom mid-terrace with a sea view property. And this went to a closing date. It had actually 27 viewings. It had 10 offers. 9 people lost out at the closing date. Therefore, it tells you straight away that, there's a huge demand for properties in the Miller Terrace area of St Monans, and also probably right throughout the East Neuk as well. We'll look at another one here. This is Kirtland Walk. You'll have never seen this coming to market, or actually you'll have seen it, but it's sold. So this was actually sold to an investor straight away on our books. They jumped in there straight away and made an offer the owner couldn't refuse, and it was sold before it even got a pre-portal launch, and before it got to Facebook, before it got to the Rightmove, and it was sold to a private investor. And that is the key indicator here that I would say follow our Facebook pages is key here to see pre-portal launches when you'll see them before they go to the websites. And also, you need to be registered with your estate agents. You need to register with estate agents now. Long gone has the days where you can now just rely on an alert coming up on your phone, because by the time the alert came up on the phone for this one, it was away. This was offers over 55,000, by the way, for a 3-bedroom upper flat in the Methil area, which is a really good high return for an investor to buy, and hence the reason why you gave them an offer they couldn't refuse. Okay, so let's talk about the next one. This was actually St Monans. This is the post office. The property below is the commercial shop, and the property above was a 4-bedroom upper apartment, and that was sold. That was on an offer to over 250,000. That was sold. The next owner there is actually has bought it, and they are going to be running it as a community shop again. So that's fantastic news. Typical example is a lot of people talk about, in the East Nuke, where they'll just buy shops and they want to redevelop them, but they actually want to run it as a shop. So that is fantastic news for the local community in the St Monans area. Laurie Terrace in Reading, a 2-bedroom upper apartment, and that was sold to an investor, again a buy-to-let, a great return, and it was sold over home report value as well. So it was a great property, great return. Everybody was happy in that as well. So again, we're looking similar properties like this in the area. You can see that the 3-bedroom in Methil, and you've got the 2-bedroom. So this is telling me straight away that all these properties in terms of flats and apartments, they're actually now selling. I mean, 2 or 3 years ago, they weren't selling that quite that well, but now there's a huge demand for these types of properties. And probably, I would say flats are going to rise faster than actually semi-detached and detached and terrace properties. Okay, so the next one is Dunbeath Drive in Glenrothes. This was a 3-bedroom mid-terraced house. This sold in 5 days to a first-time buyer. Fantastic news. First-time buyers got the first property on the first step on the property ladder. Seller was delighted with the outcome, again, over home report value. So if you've got a property in the Glenrothes area similar to this 3-bedroom in the Dunbeath Drive, Glenrothes area, and Pachuca and that, then please feel free to contact us because we have got demand for these types of properties. And the final one for us is the one in Alan Robertson Drive. This was a 2-bedroom semi-detached in St Andrews, offers over 230,000. This was sold in 3 days of coming to market. 3 days coming to market. The person's buying it for the forever home. So congratulations to Helen, who's moving in. This is going to be a fantastic home. I've seen it. This wee place here, this is a 2-bedroom, but this wee one is a box room. So this actually can be used as a home study or an office or a dressing room or additional storage, whatever you want. But it's a fantastic area and almost south-facing back garden, so the sun's going to set on it all the time. So wonderful home there, but sold in 3 days for an offer the owner could not refuse. So again, similar demand for these types of houses, 2-bedroom semi-detached houses and bungalows in the St Andrews area. Okay, and that's it for that roundup. Properties coming to market. Let's talk about properties coming to market soon. So properties coming to market soon, we have next week. Look out, we have 10 properties still waiting on coming to market. So the ones we're going to discuss here, I'll give you a flavour of some of the ones that are coming to market right across Fife. So watch out for them pre-portal launches. Allen Cottage, Mitchell Street in Leven. That's just about to hit the portals. That's a 3-bedroom cottage, almost 50 metres away from the beachfront. It's a beautiful property in a brilliant area. And right round the corner from the Lidl's and across the road, 100 metres from the high street. And also, it's along the other end of Links Road, and you've got the golf clubs and the golf course. So it's a fantastic property, 3-bedroom, and that's going to come on offers over 270,000. Cannonburn Glebe in Kirkcaldy, that's a 2-bedroom flat. That'll be coming on soon, so watch out for that. Goodley Crescent in St Monans, here's another East Nuke property. This is a 3-bedroom extended semi-detached property. It is offers over 200,000. It will be coming on soon. Watch out. We're going to hit a pre-portal launch. I'll be doing it this week. Plus, I will be doing the drone tour will be there as well. If you jump over our YouTube channel and subscribe to that, by the way, you'll see some of these walkthroughs and these properties and the drone footage before it actually hits the portals, because we actually put them on there in order to send to the client, just so they can see it before we hit the market. So follow our YouTube channel, Fife Property's YouTube channel, because you will see these some of that video footage before anyone else will see it, even before Facebook will see it. Thistle Cottage, Kilmany, that's another one. That's a 3-bedroom, semi-detached property, and that's going to be coming on soon over at the back of Cooper, near the A92, which is Kilmany, on the way to good commuting for Dundee and going north us. So again, that's another fantastic property going to be coming on soon. I'm going to take aerial photographs of this property, as well as do a pre-portal launch this week as well. Craigdown Grove and Cellar Dyke, 4-bedroom house. This is going to be coming on soon. This will probably be around about 300,000 mark in terms of the home report value. So that's going to be coming on soon. That'll be a 4-bedroom house. And finally, one of the other ones I want to talk about is Russell Street in Strathmiglo. This will be a 3-bedroom end terrace property coming on soon as well. Again, that's in the throes of it's just been signed up. We're going to get all the footage done. We're going to get all the video done. There'll be pre-portal launches and photographs on it as well. So watch out for that one as well. And that's probably one of a few of the properties we've got coming on, as well as more in the pipeline, and more over this weekend. Actually, another couple over this weekend. We've been in the Cooper area, and also 2 in the Cooper area actually this weekend. I've just come back to us and said they're ready to go. So watch out for these properties. Keep an eye, and again, as I said, follow our social media channels. You don't need to like them, just follow them. Just hit the follow button, because again, how Facebook works, if you follow our pages for the area. So if you're looking for a property in Cooper, follow the Fife Properties Cooper page. If you're looking for a property in the East Neuk area, follow the East Neuk page. If you're looking for a property in the St Andrews area, follow the Fife Properties St Andrews page. And that's how it works. In the Leaven area, Fife Properties Leaven page. And then what happens is when you follow it, when we go live with a video and we go instantly live, Facebook looks like it's like breaking news, and they instantly alert you straight away because you're following the page that we have gone live. And as a result of that, you can see it as it happens when we're actually doing the walkthrough. And what that means to you is you have an opportunity before anyone else to jump in there straight away and actually message us direct or call us direct to get in there before anyone else, before it hits a portal, before anyone else probably knows about it as well, only because you're following our Facebook page. So that's probably one of the most important things to do. Okay, so finally, we'll just talk about a few things before I sign off for my weekly property update. We did a show yesterday. Is Fife heading to a house price crash? There's indicators there. You've seen it there as well. And one of the things that we spoke about yesterday was all the indicators that told us about why it is and why it's not heading towards a price crash. You can look at these. Classic examples are currently just now. I mean, Fife house prices dropped 1.8% last month. But you've got to look at that in context. And in the last 12 months, just before that, Fife property houses have actually gone up 10.8%. So really, it's a 9.7% differential now. So it's a growth rate of 9.7%. So looking at the national figures, I wouldn't worry about that too much. And you can see the demand going up anyway. So I don't think house prices are going to do anything anytime soon. But some of the indicators we discussed about were things like, classic example is, are interest rates going to rise? And what will make interest rates rise? And then also the other things that you would think about is, well, what about inflation? Will that affect things? Inflation will rise because raw materials are in short supply now. Labour is in short supply. Therefore, people are paying more money as a natural byproduct of that. And therefore, prices would go up as well because you're having to pay more money for labour and materials to manufacture. Therefore, the person manufacturing and selling the product will have to put the price of their product up, as well as everybody for the skill shortage. So how will that affect interest rate payments? And we talked about that in the show yesterday. The key indicator here as well is I don't think personally there's anything to worry about. And this is why we talked about this article and these key numbers. Mortgage interest rate payments at the credit crunch. So in 2006 and 2007, mortgage interest rate payments were almost 61% of somebody's income as they take home. So that was 61% of somebody's income. Now, when you think about it in context of today, mortgage interest rate payments in today's numbers is only 36% of somebody's take-home income. So it's almost half. So if you've still got all that, it's not about how high the mortgage you've got, it's how much your payments are to service the actual debt. So if the payments are only about 36% of your take-home pay, then there's a huge leeway considering that the credit crunch, it was 62% of your take-home pay. So there's a lot of leeway there still to go in terms of the numbers. So I don't think personally it will be an issue. It's not really affordability of the houses. It's really how much you can afford on your mortgage. So UK inflation as well is due to go up, as I've said. How's that going to affect things? Well, and that could push interest rates up because the government tend to push interest rates up in order to take out demand of spending power out the economy, because naturally they'll push mortgage rates up. Therefore, you'll then spend less, and that will not push inflation up anymore because you're spending less and they're taking demand out of the economy. But what I think they don't understand, or what a lot of people need to understand, is the next question is, well, how are mortgages just now? Well, thankfully, 91% of all mortgages getting taken out just now are fixed rate. So that means people are actually fixing the interest rate to pay. So if interest rates go up, it will make no difference to their take home and their disposable income. And that was compared to, when you think about it, that was compared to only 33% in the credit crunch were actually fixed rates. So a lot of people have actually learned a lot of lessons here. The current mortgages that are taking out, so all the mortgages that are taking out just now, there's 78% of these mortgages are actually fixed as well. So therefore, again, I come back to saying that it's more than double what it was in the credit crunch. Therefore, if interest rates go up in the short term, it's not going to affect people that much in terms of their take-home pay. So it won't take out demand. The government's probably going to have to think about another process of doing that and how to work out that. But that'll come. Interestingly enough, finally, on this subject, the other key indicator that we talk about is how many properties are actually on the market just now. So let's take a quick look at Zoopla, for example, because Zoopla is a good indicator, because some agents can't afford to go on Rightmove, so they go for Zoopla straight away. So I'm going to take a quick look at Zoopla, and I'm going to tell you how many are on here. So now, in almost over 12 months ago, there were over 1,200 properties on the market. But in today's terms, and I'll share this screen with you so you understand where we're going with this. In today's terms, when you look at this, there's 1,200 properties on the market more than 12 months ago for sale across Fife. Now, there is only 446. See what I mean? Now, when you look and you jump back to these numbers, if there's 446 up for sale on the market, and then you jump back to that number, and I'll remove that and I'll jump back to this other screen that we talked about, and these numbers in terms of this, the year to date for June. So you've got 446 coming on the market. And then we jump on here again and we share, I'll share this with you again, this window with the numbers. See here, so 446 are on the market just now. We're selling 524 a month, all the estate agents across Fife. Actually, 552, I stand corrected. So when you think about it, that's less than a month's properties on the market, as opposed to a year ago, which was 1,200. So there was over 2 months of stock on the market already available for sale. Now there's less than a month. So do you understand how the supply and demand, the demand's not been taken out. The people are all still there looking for property. People are still growing up. People are still living longer. People are actually extending their families. They're having children. They can't wait for them to stop and say, look, don't come just now. No, I'm on my way. It's 9 months and I'm born. So this is the key here. So the key here is this market will still continue to go unless the number of properties coming onto the market begin to increase. So in this scenario, in June, when you think about the logic of this, another 27 properties, 28 properties actually, were actually sold. So that 446 that you saw in that example was a bit 28 more the month before, and it's gone down 28. If this same thing happens again next month, that 446 will now jump down to less than about 420 odds. So that will then go down to 420. Are we heading down to below 400? And that makes it even less properties on the market with more people chasing them. Therefore, demand goes up as a result of that. Therefore, prices will still continue to go up. Now, do you understand how prices will still continue to go up? So I don't think there'll be a price crash anytime soon because there is a huge amount of demand. There is no indicator on the market which suggests to me that the amount of properties come onto the market will flood in. At the height of the credit crunch, it took, when we look at that, and you look at that article, it took a huge amount of properties to come out in the market, but that was only because people were losing their jobs and people didn't have enough income to actually pay for the house they were in, and unemployment and interest rates went up as well. Interest rates actually went up to between 6 and 7% base rate at that time. Interest rates just now are at 0.1. How far do we need to go? So that indicates to me that there's nothing going to happen in the short term, except prices will still continue to rise. However, what I would say is don't speculate. So don't wait and wait and wait. If now is the time to sell for you, now is the time to sell for you. Because the last thing you want to do is wait till you think the peak of the market's going to arrive, then you try to sell, and then something does happen which affects that, and then the market starts to go down. Remember, furlough ends in September. That's another key point as well. However, they're predicting that the economists are saying unemployment is going to be about 5.8%. Now, unemployment levels just now is round about the between the 5 and 6% as it is. So they don't see that anytime soon. The people that potentially can lose their jobs, and we talked about this, is the leisure industry, the recreation industry, the theatre industry, and the tourism. Now, these are the key markets that you tend to find there's a lot of mobility of labour, so people tend to rent in these markets. These people tend to rent quite a lot, and there are a younger generation as well who do rent, the generation rent people. And so that won't have a huge influx of properties come onto the market. So that won't affect that as well. So when we compare this, there's a 14-year average of 1,608 properties for sale in the area at any one point in time. We're down at almost like a quarter of that just now. So that just shows you where we are. Even at the height of the credit crunch, we were 3,000 properties on the market. We've got 446 on the market just now, right across Fife between all the agents. So I can't see anything happening anytime soon. But if you want a crystal ball of what will happen in the Fife property market, you won't go far wrong by getting yourself on the Fife property portals and seeing how many properties are for sale, which we've just done now. Finally, the last two things I want to talk about is the summer viewings. I didn't actually do a show on this. We've not done a show on this yet. So this is how to stand out from the crowd. We have a article in here. You can click on it. It takes you 4 minutes to read. And it's summer viewings. It's stand out from the crowd, and because it's the best season for selling in Fife. Now, this article we put on here, and the key here is we put it on so you can look at this and learn from this in these various categories and actually add value to what you're doing on your property to get the best end result and the best value from the person that walks through the door. The person that sits there, and this is what I used to say, the property will sell itself. And then I thought about that for a wee while, and I thought, is that really factually true? Would the property just sell itself? Well, absolutely. But who gets the best price for you? And why would there be a difference between a certain, doing it myself or an estate agent doing it? And you're absolutely right, there is. When I looked into it, I actually found that there's a fundamental difference between what you can negotiate privately because you don't understand who the buyer is, and what an estate agent can understand because they have the relationship with the buyer and they understand the buyer's needs and what they want. So therefore, and they also sometimes understand what the buyer's budget is. You don't get to find that out because as soon as you come face to face with a buyer as a seller, they tend to clam up and don't tell you a thing. So it's key potentially that you would actually get an estate agent to sell your house. That's the key here. This is not a market to be selling privately. Even if you think you get an offer you can't refuse, because we had 2 offers on a property recently, we thought we couldn't refuse, and it was a 6-figure figure, and I thought this is an offer we can't refuse, and we still got more after this. So that just shows you where it can go. Okay, so the key things about summer viewings standing out from the crowd is the front of house curb appeal is everything. That's one of the key areas. So this is some of the areas that we've done. Catch the light as well. The first impression is great from your front door as you walk in for the curb appeal. The next impression you should have is, what do people get when they walk in your door? Did they get the ambient smells? Do they get the right smells when they walk in the door? Or do they get dog and cat and pets and spices and foods? Or do they get things like lavender, summer breeze? You know, all these things that were conditioned in our mind. When we watch adverts on the telly, you see the Lenore adverts and the Comfort adverts, that we're pre-programmed as a result of them to think that automatically when you smell lavender and summer breeze and all these nice smells, that you instantly think everything's fresh and new as a result of it. And that's the key here. What do people get when they walk in your door? Is your hallway welcoming, or does it switch them off straight away? Is it dark and dingy? And that's the key. So that's one of the things we talked about in this article itself. And some of the key things are you can hang mirrors up on walls to reflect light back in. You can open your curtains fully up in order to get all that light back in as well. Then you can even transform your room by maybe just accentuating and painting one wall and making that a feature wall in a room, which actually pops as a result, and therefore makes everything else stand out in the room itself. And then using things like textiles like cushions and throws and table runners to soften the appearance of bulky furniture is key as well. Again, I'll go back to the next one is keep the rooms fresh, but keep them cool as well. Get it to the right temperature so people don't feel uncomfortable. The key here is, though, leave your windows open to get it to the right temperature if it's too hot in the house. But remember, and close them before you do the viewing. And the key here is, the reason for that is because people then, if you've got noise outside, they'll hear it straight away. And it can actually put them off as a result. Okay, remember, COVID rules are still in place. So make sure people wear masks when they're walking around your house. Make sure they've got hand sanitizer. Make sure they don't touch anything. Because remember, it's people not in your bubble. You don't know them. The other one is go for garden glory. All about how to plan your garden in easy and effective ways, and in order to accentuate again the garden, the features about the garden, especially if the sun's out. If the sun's out and it's a beautiful day and it's nice and quiet and you hear the birds chirping outside, the first thing you want to do is start at the front with someone, the curb appeal, bring them in, take them round the house, and end up outside. That is the wow factor. When people stand in the sun and they get that they get that feeling, and they hear these sounds of nature round about them, and they see it can be quite private round about them as well. They can see themselves living there. That's key. That's how you push higher values and higher prices out of people at the end. These are all tips that we use to do that. And expect at this time of year, evening appointments. These are key as well. So evening appointments, longer days, summer nights. I feel like bursting into that's a song, isn't it? John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John, summer nights. Decisions are they're made faster when it comes to summer, because a lot more people go through your door as a result, and they go through the door quicker because they tend to view from day to day than weekend to weekend, because it tends to be dark when everybody gets home from work. But during the summer, you usually tend to get viewings at the night time because it's light. So the key there is to make sure you're flexible with your evening appointments as well. And if you're planning dinner outside after your viewers have left, set the table up beforehand so people can see that you can dine outside. That is a really good top tip there. So that's your summer season and how to do that. So that's the article that's online just now. Finally, as always, before I sign off, we have our instant valuation tool. That's key there Now, you might be thinking like me, it's like, I don't really want to talk to anybody because you're a typical salesman. You just want to get my house to sell. I just kind of want to know the value. So we do put a ready reckoner on there where you can actually see the value. So 57 settings. I didn't do the 60 seconds because that's too much like we buy any car. It takes you 57 seconds to do this valuation. So instant valuation tool. So you go into it, put your details in. It actually looks up, it compares with other houses in the street that have actually recently sold, and then it works out a rough valuation, and again, a guide price valuation, about where the property, or the valuation of your property lies in comparison to the ones that have sold previously in your street. Now, you might have done something extremely different, like built an extension onto that. I mean, I had done mine. I've got twice the size of a house in my street. So there's no surprise when I went on to do my valuation, it tended to be half the price of what and it was the same as everybody else's house in terms of price point, but it was about half the valuation. And lo and behold, I then went back and looked at it in detail, and I thought, well, that's clearly why, because it works out that way. So it can't do that for everybody, but we're more than happy then to follow up with that if you like, just to give you a desktop valuation, give you a rough idea about the value of your property without actually you having to do anything else other than just email us at the back of that, because that allows you to do it just for extra added value. But the key point about the valuation it does give you is it gives you a top valuation. So the top valuation is your property has new kitchen, new bathroom. It is mint condition all the way throughout. It gives you a middle valuation, which is typically you can move in and you can do things as you go. So the kitchen, the bathroom, and every other decoration is fine, ready to move in. And then it gives you a lower valuation, which is your kitchen's a bit tired, your bathroom's a bit tired. You maybe still got a pampas green bathroom. I've seen them quite a lot. But your property sells for good values now anyway, regardless. So don't go changing things if you don't need to, because you tend to find that a lot of people that walk in the door want to do all that themselves. And that's where you need to get advice from people like ourselves beforehand, before you run out and spend astronomical amounts of money thinking that you should change this all and you should make up. You should spend like £10,000 on your kitchen, £5,000 on your bathroom, carpets and decoration all the way throughout, and it costs you another £5,000 or £6,000. That might not be unnecessary at all. So it's key to ask us beforehand. So instant valuation tool on there for yourself. You put your details in, find the value, and see roughly where it lies. It gives you a good indication if you're curious as well. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you've got any further questions, please feel free to message me direct on these posts, or message us or call us on 01334 65 42 21. You can email me direct at jim@fifeproperties.co.uk, and I'll give you further advice as well. And until next week for next week's Fife Property Update, I'm Jim Parker for Fife Properties TV.